I'm Steve Vibronics, and this is the Life in Dub podcast, talking to people who live their lives in dub and reggae. Episode number 7. Welcome to the 7th Life in Dub podcast, my series of in-depth interviews with people who live their lives in dub and reggae. As with every time, I've got to say a big thanks to all those who've been sending in messages of support, along with suggestions and ideas. It's great to hear from you all, so please keep in touch. Don't forget to subscribe to the show, and as usual, you can email me at vibronics@gmail.com, and you can visit the podcast website, lifeindub.com. The world is a totally different place to the one we all lived in just 2 weeks ago when I broadcast my last podcast. So I've got to send a big shout out to all the artists, promoters, festivals, venues, technicians, drivers, photographers, video makers, anyone who's been directly affected by this virus situation and who, like me, really have no idea how or when this will play out. We're all in this together with the whole music industry hit like never before. So, with this in mind, I really wanted to pick up on what Russ Disciple said in episode 6 when he was talking about still learning. That really stuck in my mind because, for sure, it's something I firmly believe in. Always learning new skills and techniques in the studio, in playing, in selecting, in everything I do. This podcast is a great example. I had never done a podcast before I started back in January, so I had to teach myself a whole new set of skills and up my knowledge in a whole new area. And those of us in isolation and lucky enough to be healthy can look to learn some new things in the current period. I'm self-taught in music, engineering, label management, everything I do. But one thing that's helped me more than anything in learning is to ask others. Way back in the 90s, when I knew almost nothing about starting a record label, I contacted people like Jah Warrior and Dougie Wardrop to ask them how to do it. And they, along with many other people, were really happy to share their knowledge with a newbie like me. And recently with my podcast, this approach continues. I emailed some presenters of podcasts that I like to ask a few technical questions, and generally, people got back to me. So that's really what I want to say now, that now is a great time to contact people if you have a particular question that you think that person could help you with. I get asked all the time about producing and releasing music, and I'm happy to help when I can. And in these crazy times we're all living in now, there's never been a better time to reach out to people. Even people who seem more successful or important are often happy to help answer questions, maybe now more than ever. This week, my guest is King Earthquake, also known as Errol Arawak. King Earthquake has got to be one of the truly legendary and notorious root sound systems of the last 20 years, from humble beginnings way back in the 1970s. King Earthquake came to most people's attention in the early 2000s in the form of the camouflage-painted and handmade machine that raised the bass bar higher than it had ever been before. I travelled over to Birmingham a few weeks ago to meet with Errol to talk about his sound system, his personal story, and to gain some insight into lesser-known legends like Lynx the preamp builder. So enough of me, let's get on with the interview. So Errol, King Earthquake, welcome to the Life in Dub podcast.
Life in Dub, thank you.
Nice. You could join me, and known you for a while, and nice to sit down and like have a bit of reasoning about, all things King Earthquake.
It's good, man. It's not just about playing music. It's about learning the thing as well, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. Definitely. So what I'm doing is I'm asking all the guests the same question, and we kind of touched on this just as I arrived. But I'm asking everybody to name a track that kind of changed things for them. And think when they listen to that track, that kind of switched things up for them. So, but earlier on, you kind of said that you got your own kind of like take on that. So I was wondering what your response to a question like that is.
You see, Steve, let me tell you. It was always there. You understand? There was no time at all when anything new came in to change my life, you got to understand so that in my family, I'm an Indian at the end of the day. And we grew up with reggae music and Indian music. Our parties were from a youth, growing up, one room was reggae and one room was Indian, You choose, and I used to go between the two of them and them kind of. So reggae music was in a way from a very, very young children age, growing up. And you see, so there was no music then that I could have say, well, did change me. I didn't hear one record that could have did say, well, I'm gonna, I like that and that's gonna change my life, because it was always there.
So you grew up like surrounded by reggae music?
Yes, our family used to play a lot of reggae music. Later on, it changed. We started hearing the wonderful world of toasting, and it was different, but it didn't change me. It's something new that we just take on board, and we started playing them. It didn't really mean a lot at the time, I mean, a lot of people would say, well, boy, the reason why I change and turn to Rasta is because I hear this tune, and I hear the words they manifest. No, I've been listening to Rasta music long before I change and become Rasta. So there was no music really that I could say that was, life-changing for me.
So was this always in Birmingham as well? You're from Birmingham originally?
Yeah. I born and grew in Birmingham. Yeah.
And Birmingham has got like this huge history of reggae music, so I guess that explains why it was always around when you were growing up.
Of course. It's like it was an embedded thing into you from growing up, even at school. Even at school. I mean, our school where we went to, it was everybody was into reggae music at the time. A lot of schools will tell you a different story, but ours was always about sound system and groups and reggae music and all of them things there, So it wasn't a strange thing, It wouldn't suddenly just hear a record and you think, wow, what the hell is that? Let me discover that and the meaning of that. It was already there.
Because when you think about people who are maybe brought up in different countries or people brought up now where there's not that kind of reggae, the reggae scene is not like it used to be. So I guess when you were growing up, reggae was a big thing.
Yeah, it was a time of discovering, innit? These artists and veterans, them were producing things and making things happen, and it was a time of discovering themselves as well. And, it portray out to the people.
And it's like this podcast is called Life in Dub because it's all about people who live their lives in dub and reggae. So obviously music's been the big thing in your life. So can you think about how music came into your life, or maybe when you realised it was like so important to you? Or
you know what? It was more important to me at the time when nearly leaving school. The time when it became of an interest in the way that I wanted to just play a part in it was when probably a couple of years before we leave school, And it's only because people used to sneak out and go dance hall and be introduced to this wonderful world of sound system and the music and hearing it that was the same for me, but I didn't have to sneak out. I was given a key. I says, just don't knock the door when you come back. Yeah, it was like that for me. So I used to go anywhere where I did want to go, and I didn't venture too far. But yeah, it was going to a dance hall for the first time made me want to build a sound system.
What were those dances like, the early dances? What sort of recollections have you got of like early dances you went to?
The early dances, them was all you can think about is it being rampack full and it's smoke infested. That's it's not like today. It's smoke infested, and it's hot. Those was the images from me, and because I was so young at the time, still, I mean, let's put it this way: I ain't tall now, and I certainly wasn't tall then.
And this is what you were in a school age.
This is what I'm saying, and I'm going to dance hall and walking through crowds of people that is twice my height. So I'm fighting through people going, and that was my experience. And it's only because, I went to a wedding, and it's only because me see the sound system there and the man doing him thing. I thought to myself, say, that's what me want to do. I'm going to do that. And this was like at the age of 12, something like that.
That's like starting super early then. And you realise then it's like this is something you're interested in.
13, I want to do that. That is what I would like to do, Yeah. Because, I mean, don't forget, back in the days, we play upon gram in the house. you know. And as far as it did go for me, going to this wedding now was the time when I decided, said, this is what I want to do.
Even when you were a child, you liked messing around with music and playing music on the radiogram, the stereogram at home.
Yeah. We used to have to wait till parents go out, go in the front room, and play around until you hear the car door lock. So say you gotta escape, you gotta disappear.
Time.
Yeah.
These dances, these are dances in Birmingham, and Birmingham is known as a kind of like a militant place for reggae and for sound system. And what kind of sounds were around at that time? Do you remember any of the sounds?
Well, I mean, these mans was radical, and it was always, they used to clash constantly. And that's what I grew up in. I grew up in those clash dances, And it wasn't a planting. I mean, it's never on the flyer that this is going to be a clash and whatever. You just put two sounds together, it's automatically turned into a clash.
Yeah, it's good. It's who's going to play the best music? Who's going to like?
That's right. I mean, Quaker City was the predominant sound back in the day. He was the heavies. But I mean, I can tell you that he didn't play in Birmingham quite a lot. Quaker was always out of town. And we're talking about like 6 days a week. He was playing somewhere.
So people were going to dances like in the week?
Yeah. Because, I don't know, it was different then. It's like people was craving to go to dance. No, it ain't like that. But people did crave. They want to go to a dance. So they're looking for places to go. You understand? Not the promoters, them presenting them with an opportunity. It was them looking for the opportunity. So you could put on a dance and people will turn up anyway. It was like stemming from the blues dance into dance hall, yeah.
And when you talk about a sound like Quaker, it's like everybody I've spoken to since I kind of got into sound system talked about Quaker. It's a heavy sound, and I guess back then people didn't have like much access to like stereos in cars, and the TV had like not very good speakers, and it kind of so. What was it like hearing a sound like Quaker kind of back in the day?
It was fantastic. Quaker was one of those. I mean, he was semi-militant in himself. He used to stamp his authority, especially out of town. He used to love to stamp his authority out of town. But Quaker City, it wasn't a strictly roots sound and dub sound. He was an all-rounder, playing all-round music kind of thing, like party vibes, them kind of way there. Later on, you get sounds like Naya, you get sounds like Sifa, you get sounds like Jungle. These were militant sounds.
And these are all Birmingham sounds.
Yeah, these sounds was yeah, right. You got Mafia and all of them sound there as well, but they were a bit like Quaker City, and they were the age of Quaker City as well. But the younger sounds them now, like you see, it was Jungle that did force me to build a sound.
And what happened there then? What was all that about?
Jungle Man was all Rasta. A lot of the sounds, we have 1 and 2 Rasta in the sound, but Jungle Man crew, and it was about probably 10, 12 of them. Every one of them was Rasta, and they portrayed that. It was like a show. When they played, they put on a show. And
would you say that before that, sounds were more like party entertainment things, and this militant thing was that a newer thing?
Yeah, it's like before it was anything that you could be playing at a wedding. Quaker would play at a wedding and them kind of thing there, But like, you couldn't tell Jungle Man say him have to play at a wedding. You understand? Like, it's like Shaka. You couldn't tell Shaka say him have to play at a wedding. It was that kind of thing, But like Jungle now was militant. He was a fighting sound. This man, they never pull no punches.
And it was hearing and kind of experiencing sounds like that made you think, okay, I'm going to build something myself.
Yeah. You see, the first sound I heard, and I can't remember what the name, it was at a wedding when I was young. you know, and that made up my mind, said that I'm gonna, that's what I want to do, you know. But then later on now, going to dancehall when I was at school and hearing jungle for the first time, I thinking, you know what, that's stamp it in my brain. This is what I want to do. I'm going to do that because these mans influence me.
And what kind of sound, I mean, what did it sound like? Like that kind of sound? So you're talking what, like early 80s, I guess?
Yeah, around the 80 onwards. Yeah. Well, this sound was because it's competition based. You know, you start to understand what's going on between the two sounds. You start to understand the lingo, what they mean when them say this, what they mean when they say that. It's a competition, it's a clash. You understand? It's the feeling of bass coming at you from all angles. You know, and it's not just bass; it's pressure in you. It's that what I did love.
You can feel it, can't you? That's what it struck me when I first heard Sound System. Was like you can feel it. The music's like vibrating.
Yes, yeah, and sometimes you just don't believe so that the same record where you got in the house can sound like that.
Yeah, they make so much more sense when you hear them on the sound.
Yes,
suddenly it's like this is what the music's made for.
Yes, there is nothing like presenting roots music on a dub sound, on a big sound. Yeah.
So how did you go about starting your sound? Because there's quite a lot of lessons to learn, aren't there, in like building a sound and making a sound.
You know what it was, Steve? I took up the old gram from my old lady threw out the old gram. She went and buy because she did have an old gram, and she went and buy a brand new Grundig, and I couldn't play that. She wouldn't allow me to trouble that.
And this is for people who maybe don't understand. This is like a home stereo where everything's in a wooden box. You've got a record player, a radio.
Yes.
Speakers are maybe built into the box.
Into this box, yeah. Your radio and your tuner and everything is in there. Turntable, everything is in there. Yeah. Even a drinks cabinet. Yeah. But she threw out the old gram and she threw it in the yard. So I'm thinking, I got nothing to play now. She not allowing me to play a fair new gram, and so I can go and play the record them what she buy, because I never buy the record. It was her records them I was playing. So I take the gram and I put it in my room, and that is how I start basically. What I did was, because it's a sliding turntable, yeah, I take it out, dismantled it, and keep all the components them. You know, and all the wood, I dismantled it around it. And yeah, I had the little tuner, I had the turntable separately, yeah, and I still had the piece of board, the side of the gram with the speaker attached to it, lean up. And that's how
that was the first sound system.
Yeah, and that's how it all started really. My cousin them usually come round. Every weekend, we was up in my room playing music and them kind of way there.
And what about like the music as well? Because like, you know, from my experience of hearing King Earthquake Sound System is like a deep selection of music, and especially like when I first started hearing you was like a deep vinyl selection. So when did you start like collecting records and kind of getting deep into that?
When I at school, Steve, because I used to go without, you know. I used to get pocket money from my parents. I used to get biscuit money from my parents. Them. I used to get birthday money, Christmas money, but they all went on records. Every week I was in record shop, you know.
And these are record shops in Birmingham?
Yeah.
These record shops obviously aren't here anymore.
No. There was one road, Villa Road. There was probably 3 record shops. In fact, Quaker City had his own record shop at the time. But where I used to go was just not, probably, 10 minutes walk away from where I was. And that was my frequent record shop, you know. And yeah, I used to, it's like, you go to school and then you go to home and then you go to record shop. There's only 3 places I used to go.
I think people can't imagine these days what it's like to live like 5 minutes away from a record shop, because very few people do now. But back in those days, I guess it's a different story.
Yeah, well, that was the way of life, innit, back then. You couldn't get a record otherwise unless you go to a record shop. Where would you go? You understand? You didn't have people coming and selling your record. There was no online thing. You understand? So you have to go to a record shop. And, that was the joy. I talk about this on radio the other day. The eagerness, the joy of getting up and putting on your clothes as quick as you can, putting on your shoes as quick as you can to race to the record shop, because you know so that every 10 minutes you're losing a selection of music that's played in the record shop, because you don't go and name the records that you want. What you do is you go and stand up and listen.
You see what's there.
And he will play. The record shop man will just keep playing and playing, and you choose. You understand?
And if you're not in the front of that queue, you're not going to get that record.
That's right. Well, no, because don't forget, all soundman used to meet in record shops. And even though you're at the back, your hand signal will tell the man, say that, put one of those under the counter for me. And that's how it was, So, yeah. But, the later you go to record shop, is in probably play a batch of music that you never did hear, and you miss those, So your hard was to get there quick.
It was busy in the shop then.
Yeah. And all the dances them was word of mouth. There was no internet. You couldn't send it on phone and all of them things. You understand? You go in the record shop and you see a flyer.
And what kind of venues are you talking about? Because obviously things are very different in these days. But in those days, then
those days we had school halls, we had youth centers, those kind of things. Them, you had It's very rare, really, that we used to go into a pub. It was very rare, but it was always sport hall and school hall that keep these things.
I mean, Maccabee was on the podcast and he was talking about playing his first sound in a school hall, and you can't imagine that now. It's like it's a really bygone thing.
Yeah. I mean, can you get a school for play now? You see what I'm saying?
We used to pass the risk assessment now.
No, is that. But you used to get enough back in the day, and weddings and everything used to keep in school halls and them kind of thing there. Yeah.
So at some point, obviously, moving forward, King Earthquake sound kind of became public, and it's like, I mean, my recollection of that is, I guess, like early 2000s maybe, hearing people from Leicester coming back to me saying, "Oh, there's this sound in Birmingham. It's really heavy. It's really heavy." And that's when they were coming to like your first sessions when you'd built like the big sound. How did that all happen? When it's like, okay, I'm going to bring out this big sound now.
What it was, Steve, you see, back in like 83 and them time, the 84, 85, the music started to change in Birmingham, and I didn't like it. But I mean, the other sound man that was with me, they was all family members. They didn't mind it, but I did. And I did refuse to play at these places. You know what I mean? And there was times when King Earthquake would play in an empty hall. In those days, we're playing into empty hall.
Because people are into like dancehall.
That's right. And down the road, there's a dance keeping, and down there, Ram and Maida. You understand? So in the end, I was forced to give up. And I did. I give up and store everything and put it down, and but you see what happened now. I was courting with a daughter in London, and it's because I keep going to London every week, go look for her, And I used to always see on the number 36 bus. I don't know where I am in London, but there's always a big poster. I always used to see one poster with Shaka on it. And I said, you know what, I'm coming off early. And I go and look at that. And I went to that dance. I didn't know I thought it was an old poster there from a long time. And
you didn't realise that was still going on?
No. And I went there and I said to her, I said, look, we're going to a dance. Flipping hell, Steve, when I went in there, it's like I went back home. You understand? I went in there, but the only thing that did surprise me was that is more white people than black people. In my days, there was no white people in dance, And I look and I think, this is like coming back home.
So you hear Shaka play in London and you see that there's a kind of new movement of people interested in like roots music, and
it never hit me like that, Steve. It never hit me like that. What hit me was, how come there is dub music going on in London and there's none in Birmingham? You understand me? So then I went to probably about 2 or 3 dance, and this was at the Rocket. 2 or 3 dance, and I said to myself, you know what? I'm bringing this back to Birmingham. People in Birmingham don't know what's going on, and them lose them way anyway. I'm going to bring back my sound. And that's what I did, exactly what I did. So first, it was jungle that did influence me to come in at this strongly, you know. But the second one was Shaka.
Well, they're both names that like
keep cropping
up when you talk to people about sounds back in the day. It's like that, those two sounds in particular really like left an impression of people.
Yeah, it's like I love Shaka to bits. Yeah, although he probably don't talk to me. But you know what? I don't care. If he don't want to talk to me, if he want to malice me, if he whatever he want to do to me, I don't care. I love Shaka to bits. And I will tell everybody that. He was the one that bring me back into this thing, yeah. You know? And he was the one, he's the one that's influenced everybody, basically, at the end of the day. Because when everybody stopped, he carried on, right? Yeah.
And what seemed to happen as well is that, like, the way, when I first heard you kind of come back with a sound system then, was kind of seeing, playing music in a very authentic way off vinyl and off acetate, whatever, but playing with this weight, like a real heavy weight, like much heavier than so many other sounds around.
Steve was always heavy. Even back in the day, in the 70s, we was heavy. And I had to be heavy. And the only reason why I had to be heavy, is because that's the only way I can quiet another sound. Because don't forget, I'm an Indian. And my crew is Indian. See? And we get picked on. Yeah? Because as far as everybody concerned back then, an Indian man ain't supposed to be playing reggae music. You understand? So, because I'm not going to cuss no bad word or anything like that in the dance or run them down because of anything like that, I had was to dominate them in some way. And I used to study sound system and frequencies. I used to study that. And I built the sound heavy back then. So when I come back, I said to myself, so I have to come back with the same trait. We don't name King Earthquake for nothing.
Yeah, that's with a name like that, you have to kind of come with the earthquake.
I had to come and make a stance, and I did that. Well, I think I did that.
Oh, definitely. It's like I remember my friend Itel Roots from Leicester phoning me and saying, oh, you just heard this sound in Birmingham. It's like, it's really, really heavy, just like I said before. And it's kind of, and obviously there's a bit of a tradition of that in Birmingham, with Quaker being known as a heavy sound and a crisp sound. I
don't know, there is a survival mode in Birmingham Sound System, them have that. It's the fittest of the fittest, and it at the end of the day.
And do you think that's because of the whole, Birmingham is country as far as London people are concerned, and kind of,
I don't know.
Birmingham has to come with a stronger sound to kind of, to show that it's not all about London?
No, Steve. When I was growing up, I never go to a dance in London. I only ever know Birmingham dances them. Back then, because don't forget, we wasn't driving. We never did venture too far and them kind of way there, So I don't know. I mean, the first time I hear Shaka in Birmingham, I didn't know who he was. You know what I mean? And what give me the recognition that me know Shaka is because it's jungle in play. We was following jungle. You understand? And then when me hear Shaka behave the way that he did, I thought to myself, so you know what? No other sound come and treat jungle man like that.
When you say behave how he did, I mean, what kind of things were going on?
Okay. Now, the mic man for jungle, is very astute. This man is very clever, and he's very diplomatic, But then him ruthless. When him ready, him is ruthless. You don't fast with a man like that. You dare say a wrong word, because you will get thrown down by the end for the whole entire night because of what you say. Now, this man, I've never heard him in a defensive talk ever. I mean, we know him as Mackie, but his name was Speedy on the sound, You never hear him in defensive talk. And I hear him say, Shaka come and we now run. And I'm thinking, what?
This is him saying it's Shaka in the dance.
Yeah, Shaka don't come yet.
Okay.
They everybody here, I mean, and this was 1:00 in the night. Jungler play all through the dance and them kind of way that the place is shaking. It's a big place, Big Bed Civic Hall, big place, and place is shaking, you know. And here say, Shaka come and we now run. And him talk that about 2 or 3 times. And I thought, what? Says, I don't hear Speedy talk like this ever. You know, it's always, you know, whatever sound come and we are run them back at all and we got this and we got that and that. Yeah. But then Shaka come, light turn on, everything, disturb the whole dance.
It's like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
Ram dance.
Yes. And you had to squeeze because you bring the whole sound in the middle of the dance. Everybody have to squeeze up. And it's like, say, I see a quad and then I see another quad go up there.
And a quad is a big bass speaker with 4 speakers
4 speaker in there, yeah. And Stephen put these things right round. And I see him nail them down. Him Shaka use nail and nail right through one box into the other box.
Nailed them together.
Yeah. I'm thinking, my first impression was, why is he doing, nobody know thief in box. Where am I nail them down for? You understand? But then, him play a 3 tune. And that changed me. I know now why him nail them down, because they're going to shake right off, right? Me never hear anybody heavier than Jungle. Never. Yeah? And him play a 3 record and the dance done.
Just took the dance.
Yeah. 3 record. Yeah. Yeah. But that was, and I always remember that dance just for that alone, you know. I had to fight my way through. In fact, I fight my way through for another reason, but I fight my way through just to see who it was, you know, and to see where him they have, because somebody break in my yard, Steve, then thief out my sound effect, right? And then when me hear Shaka play, that's the same siren me I hear. That's the same thing I'm hearing.
The NJD.
Yes. And because those was built in Birmingham.
The NJD siren is like, it's like the holy grail of sound effects now.
Right.
And wasn't it, someone told me the other day, it was designed as a test thing for speakers because it's just, it goes from like low frequency to high frequency. And the idea you could run it through your disco speakers to make sure they're working.
Yes. The word that the man used to me is that it's a sound generator. That's what this word, and you put it on your disco. So I said, all right, I'll put one on my disco then if that's it. And I was the first one to use one of those. The very first person to buy one because they just come in the shop. And
made in Birmingham.
A lot of the sounds, I didn't hear them with them, you know. So when mine get teeth now, and then me go dig better and hear it, I thought to myself,
this is Shaka playing with a siren on the sound.
Yeah, no, my first impression was this man teeth me things. So I'm going up to have a look. But then I go up and I say, because I modified mine a little bit, and theme one was the original one. So I thought, you know what, fair play. And he's an elder.
But it's interesting you talk about the siren and Birmingham, because one thing that I'm quite interested in asking you about is like when you came out with the sound, like when you came back out with the sound, Lynx was heavily involved in some of the amplifiers and preamp. Is that right?
Well, everything.
Okay, so Lynx is if anyone listening who doesn't know, was a legendary sound system builder. So I was wondering what you could tell us about Lynx and like what his involvement in your sound system was. When
I first met Lynx, I went to there's a shop near Matthews in town that sells speaker and all little gadgets and speaker components, and it was that kind of shop like a Radio Shack. And it was them times there. Few people was using these 4-channel disco mixers, yeah. And I'm explaining to the man in the shop, say, I don't want to use one of those. Back in the day, we used to have and he said, well, have a look at this. And he showed me one new preamp. Yeah, so I says, okay, who built that? And he give me the number. Keith Gooden, his name is, Lynx. I went and see him and I explained to him what we want, yeah. And I said to him, the one new thing now go do me. I don't want that. This is what me want. This is what me want. This is what me do. And he say, I don't think that can work. Somebody say, it can work. He says, it's in my yard. No, I can carry it to my yard. And so we did. We drive from my yard to my yard. And I got the stereo separates them doing what I want. And he said, and what about the crossover? There's no crossover. He said, there's crossover. He said, there's no crossover. And he made me pull off my box. Then for sure, he said that there's no crossover in my box. Anyway, I paid him and I said to him, said, build me this. And I do the front panel and I do the back panel. And I said, this is what we want. And he done it. And ever since then, he's had a lot of respect for me. Now, Keith always wanted to prove a point to everybody. That was Keith. That was Lynx. He wanted to prove a point to everybody so that he's the biggest builder, the best builder, and whatever it is. Yeah. And he built a couple of other sounds, and they done what they're doing. But, you know, because Keith know me, and he know what I was capable of from back in the day, he said to me, he said, I must build the sound as his prototype.
You really worked together on this thing.
Yeah.
Lynx was involved in everything like boxes, amplifier, preamp.
Okay, Lynx, Keith did link up with a man named Zeph. Zeph was the box builder, and Keith was the electronic side of it. But they split later on. But then when he see me make a couple of boxes, he wanted me to replace Zeph, and I told him, no, I ain't got the time. I can't be doing this full time because I got this doing and this doing and this doing, you know? So he concentrated more on the preamp and the power amp side of it, and then he went into sound effects.
Because what seemed to happen when King Earthquake Sound came back out in that time is it seemed to be like, we're not doing it in anyone's way apart from our way. We're not having the same boxes as anyone. We're doing our thing, and it came with like a real identity and a real lot of power, I think, and people really noticed that.
Yeah. I mean, the amplifier that Keith developed, it was the first time he's developing it, and I got the prototype. So I expanded on that. Keith know exactly what I wanted, and I know that Keith was capable of doing what we did need.
That's it, because the importance of like these people, these builders that can make these like bespoke electronic items to do something very... Because Reggae Sound System's not like a PA, it's something completely different, isn't it? And also you were playing like vinyl and acetate, and it's like, why did you choose to do that when you came back out again? Because you're now in the digital age. Some people are playing CDs, DATs, whatever. So why the vinyl and acetate?
Because I'm old, Steve. Because I don't know it no other way. And you know what, as well, when CDs did first come out, yeah, honest to God, and ashamed I should talk this, but when it did first come out, it did frighten me. I didn't know how to use one of these machines. So I ain't going down that road. You understand? I've already got a turntable. I already got my records, them. Leave me with that.
And with the sound, so you're playing out with the sound, and I mean, it was, you know, phenomenally heavy sound system. And I wonder what kind of like feedback you were getting from people, because I think it was quite a shocking thing for some people.
It's okay. Before I come back out, you know, yeah. I went and I hear a few sounds to know what my competition is, you know. So I said to myself, well, boy, you know what? I have to come better. You understand? If I'm going to survive in this game, yeah, I'm going to have to come better. And I dealt with frequency, you know. A lot of people say it was loud, and to some extent it was. But would come with the loudness was frequency, you know. And it's frequency that's doing the damage, you know. I mean, there's sounds now that is playing loud, and there's no frequency there. So, you know, it's not sound system.
But I guess utilizing this certain preamp and certain speakers and everything tuned in to a certain way, you're getting this kind of...
Yeah.
This earthquake effect.
Yeah. I built a few boxes and I was to scrap them because they wasn't good enough, you know. Because I was determined I'm building the scoops. I'm not, everybody's doing that. I ain't doing that.
What was also interesting was this kind of, like maybe it's because of the old days when you're hearing these sounds play each other and like clash, but this sort of fearless playing other sounds and kind of, and just making the other sounds work very hard, you know.
You know what it was, Steve? It's because I was over happy. I was over glad. You understand? That I know that what I have is far heavier than what you have. You understand? So it gave me the confidence to just do what me want to do whenever me did want to do it. You know? And it was never, because don't forget when I did come back out, all of this clash thing and war thing did stop. So there was no signing off a sound anymore. We didn't do them kind of thing anymore. There was no showing up a sound and them kind of way. So all it was just played. And I was glad to play it and prove to people, said, look, this, I'm heavy, look, listen to this.
Enjoying it.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. And I know a lot of the sound them did feel away. Some of the sound them did feel away. And but you see, what that did though, Steve, was make everybody rethink.
That's it. Because for me, it's this kind of, there was some talk about it recently about like competition and whatever. But for me, when two sounds meet, it's a sport, it's a competition, and it's not like you want blood on the floor or anything. But you want to play better music. You want to win the crowd over more. That's what makes it exciting. Yeah. And when someone turns up with a sound that's super heavy and they've got music, then it's like that's going to make the other sounds like run hard to kind of to keep up with it all.
That's right. And that's what it is. And it's always been like that here in Birmingham anyway. It's keeping up with the Joneses, isn't it? And every sound, is striving to be better and better and better. Enough money spent in a sound system. We'd all be millionaires, we'd all be rich right now if we never did have sound.
And also, I mean, what you took the sound abroad a few times as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that is happening more and more now, but that never really used to happen back in the day. And it's like, what's it like taking the sound abroad? Because it's quite a mission, I guess.
It is, Steve, but it's because I'm stubborn. I'm a stubborn person that way there. Back in the day, I had the philosophy, and not just me, everybody that had the philosophy says, we don't borrow sound. If you're going to beat a sound, beat him with your own things. You can't beat him with somebody else's sound. You understand? So we never borrow sound and we never lend sound. A lot of the elders them over me did. You understand? But when I come, we never borrow sound, and I stuck to that. You understand? I ain't playing on your sound because I don't want you play upon my sound. That was that kind of thing.
And obviously what the sound system is doing is it's playing music, and it's like you're a music producer as well, and obviously you run a label and stuff as well. So I was wondering how did you get into making music?
Well, I have to thank my brethren, Angus Digital, for that, because you see, how I know it is that you need things to play where other people can't play. Yeah. And it's great for just go to the record shop and keep buying things and playing those, but then sometimes as a sound system, you got to play things where Now, I was spending a lot of money in other people's studio. You understand? And Angus said to me, well, Errol, all you need is this and all you need is this. And I say, yeah. It was too technical for me. Yeah. Him take the time. He sell me some of my old things, them. Him upgrade some of my things, them. Me get the old ones, them. And it started there. And this is how he teach me everything and learn me everything.
Because when those productions, when I first heard those productions, they definitely had their own vibe, and they they brought something new. And I've seen many people kind of, copy, inspired by whatever, but it's like it's that kind of earthquake sound was a new thing you kind of brought into it. So what were did you have any inspirations behind making music in that way?
No, I done something, it sounded nice, and that becomes like the
blueprint or something
kind of thing, so I just carried on that way there.
And what about like releasing music? So what about the label? How did that all come about?
What it was, a lot of people was asking me for music. A lot of people, because I never used to sell music. I used to just build them and play them, build them and play them, build them and play. But then I had a lot of surplus stuff now that me built from the early times. So I said, you know what, I'm going to release them. I'm not going to redo them or neat and find them. I'm going to put them out as original dub mixes. And I just created the label, and Barry Isaac, my brethren, take take it and put it together for me.
Because you've worked with a lot of artists as well, haven't you? The labels like kind of put out music by a lot of great artists over the years, like vocalists. And
Yeah. And it's only because they come and sing for me for dub plates, you know, because dub plates was the main fundamental thing for me. You understand? Releases come after. You know what I mean? So things where them sing for me, I said, you know, me have to go call them back or you know, say, well, you know what, you do, sing this because we're going to put it out because it sound good. Everybody wants it. So you have to take out my name. It's simple.
But one thing I noticed about setting up a label is that the music travels quite a long way. You press a record and people are buying it in all these different countries and it kind of takes on a life of its own. It was quite a surprise to me when I started doing it.
It did me as well. I mean, I was very surprised when the first time I go abroad, people is queuing up for me to sign my record them. I didn't expect none of that. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking, well, so far the record them reach. You know, I'm thinking I'm coming over here to play these tunes. I'm not going to hear them for the first time, but then I got them. So yeah, it does, and it's amazing. It's amazing, and I think that's what gives me the recognition. You know, because I hear the music before they see me.
Yeah, because only so many people can witness the sound and come to the dance, but records, they have a life of their own, and
that's right. That's exactly it. So you know, that was my incentive to just keep putting out record then, you know.
So like I said, you work with quite a lot of like artists as well. I don't know if there's any artists in particular that you remember working with or kind of, you know, experiences you've had with vocalists or...
No, you know, the EM Steve was there, right? Because I'm a Birmingham Sound. I wanted to... The whole ambition why I come back, was to put Birmingham on the map. Because I used to go to the cup dances them, where Asha them and Sister get put on. I used to go to those.
Is that the Jah Works promotions?
Yes, Jah Works promotion. And I end up meeting them and being friends with them and talking with them. But I noticed everywhere you go, Black Mix used to put on dance, Raymond Judah put on dance, Skelly Roots up at Bristol put on dance, everybody putting on dance. Birmingham is not in and none of these things here. So my whole ambition, when I did go and hear Shaka in London, I said, I'm going to put Birmingham back on the map. And that was my ambition. Now, come with that as well, I wanted to big up the artists them that's in Birmingham as well. So this is why I draw for a lot of the talents them that me, you know, remember and know over the years. Them, you know, me draw them back in a studio and make them sing. You know, and new ones come and get introduced to me and them kind of way there. But it was all a lot of it was for big up Birmingham artists them.
Birmingham's got such a big history of reggae music.
Yeah. You know, a lot of the talent here still don't get discovered yet. A lot of them don't get discovered yet. And I'm hoping that, like, this time round, we can do that.
And I mean, I'm travelling from Leicester, and it's like when I go abroad to play, a lot of people presume that I'm coming from London because people think you must have the same thing, I guess.
Yes. Everybody thinks that me come from London. Everybody, you know... I don't know what it is. London is like the be all and end all for them, innit? England is always London. That's how them think, yeah.
But actually, there's all these different cities. There's Leicester, and there's Birmingham, and there's Leeds, and there's Bristol, and there's Manchester, and they've all got sound systems and scenes and studios.
Yeah, it is. It is, and I don't know why. I suppose it's because London is the capital. I don't know.
And now, you know, the last few years, you've been traveling quite a lot and like playing a lot on the continent, and you know, and at these different sessions. And that for me, like I've said this many times on the podcast, it's a surprise that there's a scene developed in Europe and all over the world now. It wasn't what I expected when I first started going to dance.
By right, how me see everything is that it's supposed to be the UK that have the thriving business. You know, it's supposed to be every city having them one thing and then a big link up or something like that. We ain't even got a festival here in the UK. But everywhere you go in Europe, there's a festival. You understand? And I'm thinking to myself, so what is it? You know, some point in the night playing in Europe, I tell them so that people have it together. We in the UK are scattered. We don't know what we're doing. You understand? We're living for ourselves and just for ourselves. We're not living for everybody else. And Uno is there as a community. Uno doing the right thing. So I praise Uno for it. You understand?
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, so now Europe is the place to be. You know? Although me I try to build things here, you know, but at the end of the day, you can't knock the Europeans for doing what they do.
Yeah, the support for the music and the love they have for the music is like, that's for me is very inspiring.
Steve, let me tell you, the first time I went there with my sound system, I walk, when we come out the truck and walk around, there's about 8 people or 10 people behind the truck ready to lift off my sound. I'm thinking to myself, say, and that night I didn't have to lift up anything. All I was doing was directing. You understand me? Now you tell me who's gonna do that in the UK for you?
That's not gonna happen here.
No, because everybody's selfish that way there. Nobody ain't gonna help you if him sound, make him lift it up.
And also, I kind of think because it's been here for so long in the UK, people are kind of used to it. But in many countries, it's like a new thing. So when yourself as like an elder in the scene that's got a lot of experience turns up with a sound system or even to select or whatever, people, they want to learn from that because they didn't have that history there.
Yeah, it is that they all want to play a part and they're eager to play a part.
If people are like looking at, especially with your experience of sound system, people are looking at building sounds. Have you got any advice that you'd give to people who are looking at doing something like that?
My advice is always think, because right now in the UK, everywhere is closing down. You ain't got nowhere to play sound anymore. And in Europe, I'm seeing a lot of this nice restriction going on. That's
true.
You can't play your sound anymore. So think to yourself, is it worth you spending a lot of your hard-earned money to build something that you might not be able to use and play? You know, it's probably better you go and freelance and play upon somebody else's sound. You know, and it's sad that it have to go that way there, because I'm all for my man playing upon his own sound. You know, it's a terrible situation where we can't express ourselves anymore when before we could. You know, and we're getting stifled in everything. I mean, yeah, all right, then quick we sell you the big 1,000-watt speaker them and 2,000-watt speaker them and the 20,000-watt amplifier, but then they don't give you nowhere to play it.
Yeah, that's it. And people never used to live in the cities, and now people live in the cities here, and everyone's complaining about the noise, and it's harder and harder.
Yeah, but you see, I mean, I went to somewhere in Amsterdam, and this was a purposely built building where it was like a dance hall inside another room. You understand? So it was double insulated. You're outside, you can stand up outside and you really can't hear nothing. Really, really can't hear nothing. You understand? Why don't we have something like that in the UK?
That's what we need, with that investment and with the technology of around in terms of building and acoustics, that investment in places like that.
Yes,
these places are important.
Yeah, of course it is. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, we created a scene and it's not being maintained, and nobody's there to give us a heads up, a leg up and say, well, all right, at the end of the day, we're all frustrated. We all have to offload and them kind of way. And this is what music does. You understand? So yes, say a hall there, wanna go and go offload. You understand?
Yeah, it's like a release, isn't it?
Yes.
It's like a release valve. It's kind of that's what the dance is all about.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, then take away the blues from we, and then take away all of the school halls them from we know, and all of the community centers them and youth club them and all of them thing there. No, we got nowhere to play.
Well, I'm not going to give anything away, but we were talking about some stuff earlier on, and there's some interesting developments ahead, I think, in terms of like what you're doing and kind of there's kind of watch this space, definitely.
All right, watch it, yes.
And well, just to kind of sort of finish things off, it's like one thing I'm asking everybody at the end of the interview is I'm writing the book of dub, and I'm writing something next to each person I interview's name, like what they want to be associated with themselves, or just something they want to say. It's kind of so Errol, what would you want to say? I'm writing King Earthquake in the book of dub.
Why? I don't know, Steve. I mean, at the end of the day, the way that I see this thing, a lot of people do look up to the name King Earthquake. You know, a lot of people look up to that. And I don't think it's me that should be looking at. You understand? I think it's all the people them that has been refused. You understand? We have all been, I've been refused many a times by authorities and whatever it is, you know? And I always go by this philosophy, the stone that the builder refused. You understand? I would like to become, and would like we to become the head cornerstone. You understand? That is how I want people to remember this thing here. It's an oppressive society as it is. You understand? Don't make it more difficult than it have to be. But this is what them do. Yeah, you know? So yeah, I think I would be the head cornerstone.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, Errol, King Earthquake, thank you very much for taking part in the Life in Dub podcast. It's been really interesting talking to you, and I know there's some really cool things happening in the future, and so just thanks for being involved.
Well, give thanks, Steve. Thank you. If it wasn't for things like this, people wouldn't know. You understand?
Yeah, that's it. Just trying to share some of the history and just kind of give a chance to let people know the person behind the music and behind the sound a bit more.
Yes. No, it's good because there's a whole scene there, you know, Steve, that people don't know about. And it's all right. It's easy to preach to the converted already, you know. Build a dance hall and you know, the people them that already come, them already know. But it's the new people them that don't know we need to get to, right? So what you're doing, this will reach more ears than what we are doing a dance hall. So what you're doing is even more important than what me I do.
We're trying.
Respect. Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Steve.
Thanks again for joining me and Errol for this 7th episode of the Life in Dub podcast. As ever, you can visit the website, lifeindub.com, and don't forget to subscribe to Life in Dub wherever you pick up your podcasts. Feel free to email me at vibronics@gmail.com with any comments or suggestions for the show, and I'll see you all again in 2 weeks for the next Life in Dub podcast.